All right, beautiful. This is Dallisa Hocking. I am a fifth generation psychic medium and the host of the Spirit and Spark TV channel here on YouTube. I am delighted to welcome Benjamin Bernstein onto my show today. I've worked with Benjamin before. He was actually a speaker at my summit here recently, the Planets and Predictions Summit that we just hosted. And he wrote a book. And the book is spectacular. I'm often asked by my clients and my students, who can I turn to? What book can I read that will give me immediate access to my higher knowingness, my divinity, and be able to move forward and thrive in this world today, especially. And this book does that. And so I invited Benjamin to come on my show. Before we bring Benjamin on, I just want to tell you a little bit about his work in case you missed his talk at the recent summit. So Benjamin is the host of the popular podcast This Week in Astrology. So make sure you go check out that podcast. He's won the award for Best Astrologer a few times through a reader survey that was done through the Western North Carolina's survey there. Professionally certified astrologer doing over 10,000 sessions with global clientele. He also runs the incredible Awakening Plus online membership, and he does monthly events and a lot of other goodies that he sends out as well through that membership. He posts a lot of video astrology forecasts. He has his own YouTube channel. I mean, I could go on and on and on. He has written a lot. He's written this book that we're going to talk about today, and he has dedicated over 40 years to his work, to his practice, and working with all these clients that live everywhere. Benjamin, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Dallisa. It's such an honor to be here with you. Thank you so much.
You've written this book. It is a bestseller on Amazon. Congratulations.
Thank you. I was stunned. It actually went to #1 in 11 different categories. How did that happen?
Yeah, we were just talking backstage before we started recording, and I was giving you my congratulations, and I thought you had worked with this huge team to release your book, and I think it speaks to how bold and courageous you are and your willingness to help all of us by birthing this book into the world. We're going to talk about it. The Instant Divine Assistance Invocations, you call them IDAs. You want to show us your book? I know you have it. Show us the cover of that.
See if I get it in the camera there.
Divine Assistance. Yes, I love it. Beautiful. So what the heck is an Instant Divine Assistance Invocation?
Okay, these, I'll just tell you briefly the story. They came to me about 11 years ago during an ayahuasca ceremony. They literally just were downloaded into my brain out of nowhere. And I realized, oh my God, these are amazing. And I did the one for Embodied Awakening, and on the spot, I went into an awakened state. And then it worked for the lady next to me after the ceremony closed. It worked for 3 other people on the spot. Oh my gosh, these work. And of course, we were all under the influence of ayahuasca, right? But then I started working with people who were just regular folks, like clients, and it worked for them too. Even people who'd never meditated, people who were just very, regular folks, it worked for them too. And now it's worked for thousands of people. And so they came by divine inspiration. The mechanism is actually really simple. My experience is that we each have a higher self. And that higher self created the human part. It's watching over it, it's dropping hints, et cetera. And we can actually call on that part of us to do stuff for us. And there's nothing it would like more. It is a being of service, and it is happiest when it's helping out. So we're not imposing, we're doing it a favor by calling on it, really. So what it can do for us that we can't do for ourselves either at all or not as well is it can awaken us and it can heal us. And those 2 invocations are the core of this. There are other invocation techniques too within the book, but these 2 are like the foundation. What I recommend for folks, if you can start your day by calling in Embodied Awakening and just get that on first thing, then you walk through the day with a number of things happening. One is you've got more harmony, flow, ease, and grace. Everything you're responsible for, you actually do more responsibly. A lot of people think, oh, I'm in an altered state, I'll be good for nothing. But no, you actually are more productive in the physical world and enjoying it more. In terms of decision making, oh my gosh, instead of having to stop and figure stuff out so much, you just know what to do because your intuition works so much better when you're in an awakened state. And there's this euphoria that comes in when your higher self is in your body. There's this tingly bliss that is indescribable till you felt it, but it beats the best orgasm ever, and you get it all the time. So I'm not saying it has that same level of momentary ecstasy, but the ongoing sense of just really incredible well-being and the experience of knowing I am more than this human body. I am divinity in this human body, and to know that consciously and to put it to practical use is just amazing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I know when I read your book, I got an advance copy. Thank you for that.
You're
And
welcome.
I was reading through it and I felt like, wow, this is a tool that you can use to, as the word indicates, instant. You know,
Hmm.
you can embody this, bring it forward, and go with it. Because I hear it sometimes from people. They say, "Oh, well, you want me to do this thing over and over for years and years, and they want something faster." And when I
Hmm.
read your book, I was like, "Oh, this is down to earth. It's approachable." Even though it sounds like it came to you during an ayahuasca ceremony, it is very grounded, in my opinion, of taking this tool and activating it. So, what are IDAs exactly?
Okay. All right. So again, IDA is just the acronym for Instant Divine Assistance. So what you technically would do is, let's say you wanted to call on your embodied awakening. You would simply speak to your higher self. I mean, any word combo that is effective will do, but the one I recommend is just 8 words long. You're talking to your higher self. You say, maximum embodied awakening that serves highest good, please. But then the follow-up is important. The follow-up is you have to do nothing. So you say it when you speak the invocation, your higher self has just come to the top of your head. It's waiting to come in, but it's your passivity that allows it. So the follow-up is as follows. Then once you've said the words, you forget them. You just say them once and let them go. Then you do not do any of the following. There's no willpower, there's no effort, there's no trying to make anything happening, there's no stopping anything from happening, there's no deliberate visualizing or imagining. You are just passive, passive, passive. You're just sitting there like a lump, and your higher self is doing it for you. And if you will really go passive, and there's 2 possible points of focus. Some people are sensitive enough, they can actually, as soon as they say the words, they feel energy starting to come into their body. It's from the crown chakra in. And if you are able to feel that, that's your focus. Just relax, feel it come in. And it's like you're a sponge and it's water. It will come in and saturate you to the extent that you're ready. And a very critical point, overwhelm is not possible. Your higher self is too smart for that. It knows if it overwhelms you even once, you'll never do this again. And it wants to establish a relationship with you. So if you just relax and open fully, you'll get exactly the right amount of awakening you're ready for. There's always more at higher levels. You'll never get to the end of it in this lifetime, most likely, but it'll give you as much. And if you get to the max, what I call a full-on embodied awakening, here's what you'll experience. There's actually a 4-part question that lets you know if you got all the way in. So if you have relaxed and has come in, and the following is true: no mental chatter, no challenging emotion, peaceful and effortless, it's all holding itself, you're there. And it may sound wild, but people who have kind of gotten the hang of this, they can do all this in like 5 or 10 seconds. I mean, that's as long as it takes. You just say the words. I've had some people say it came and locked in before I could even get the 8 words out. But if you say the words and you're really passive, then it comes in and just fills you. And at first, it might take a little longer, but after you get the hang of it, it's really quick. By the way, if you don't feel energy moving in your body, then you just feel your breath come and go on its own. But the key
Mm-hmm.
is you got 1 or 2 possible focuses. Either I'm feeling energy or I'm feeling breath. Either way, I'm completely passive. I'm not making anything happen. I'm not resisting anything. I'm just allowing. And there's a couple of nuances beyond that, but if you just did that, it would probably work.
Interesting. Yeah, I really appreciated. There were several things I enjoyed about your book, but I love when things are very organized and simplified. And there
Mm.
are several places within your book where you can go to these IDAs and bring in these different energies and things that you're working on specifically.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Why do you think words and intentions? Because it sounds like that's a lot of what this book and the tools are based upon. Why do you think words and intentions are so important to our spiritual work?
That's how things are created. There has to be a concept before there can be a manifestation. I mean, why does the Bible start? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. God spoke everything into existence, right? And we are created. We are also God. We're just not fully aware of it. And thus we have the same creative power. To the extent, the more awakened we are, the more power we have, obviously. But word is power. That's how law of attraction is based. You hold the vision and you have the words around it, and it comes true. And with these invocations, they're really excellent for instant energetic shift. So, we are creators. We have power. The invocations kind of phrase it as a request. Well, actually not. Maximum that the service highest good. You're really calling it. You're really commanding it with that language, aren't you? Yeah.
Yes.
But no, you're sitting in your power. You're saying, "I call this to me now." Then you're relaxing, and while you're sort of in a command position from the ego, saying what it wants, you're also in a very passive position because you're calling on something that can do it for you, but your human can't do it for itself.
Mm-hmm.
So the human says, "I am taking the reins here to call in a part greater than my human part to help me out." Because I want to become conscious as that part. And ultimately, you can get to where you're so merged that you can't even tell the difference anymore. The higher self and the ego are so blended that there's no meaningful distinction anymore. Mm-hmm. And then things start to get really interesting.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because you wrote about the great onion of consciousness in your book.
Right.
So I want you to talk a little bit about that and how did we each end up on Earth?
Well, I can't claim to have the ultimate master answer. I have my understanding, and I could be wrong about any of this stuff. I'm just doing the best I know how. I'm a fallible human like all of us. But this is what, 45 years on the spiritual path and all these ayahuasca ceremonies have shown me. All right. Now, there may be exceptions, but this seems to be the normal case. Each of us has a higher self, and that is the spirit part through it. When this body dies, the consciousness returns to the higher self and it figures out what's next. My understanding is all of this universe, our consciousness, that soul or higher self, is on a multi-billion-year journey, only a very small part of which involves human incarnations. There's way more than that, okay? But let's just confine our discussion to that much, because let's keep it manageable for this, all right? So you've had a previous lifetime, as described in the marvelous book, Journey of Souls by Michael Newton, which I strongly recommend. The soul then plans out the lifetime. It gets together with its soul buddies and says, okay, let's do this and this, and kind of gets the shape of the lifetime put together. And then when the right moment comes, there's that body gestating in the mama. At the right moment, the higher self splits off part of itself and animates the human being. Then there's consciousness. Okay, you're not just a lump of cells anymore. Okay. Then at that point, the part that got into the human has agreed, I'm going to have partial amnesia or complete amnesia. I'm going to forget what I am, or else the game doesn't work. Now, there are a few rare souls who come in and stay awake, but they're on a service mission. This is, again, most of us are. We get amnesia. I certainly did for 17 years. I didn't even believe there was a God. All right. So here we have this part that's down here under the veil in amnesia. So it's stumbling around the best it can. And a lot of people just stumble their whole lives and they don't realize there's an easier way to do it. But you can call on the higher self. And this is all setting up the great onion question. I haven't forgotten it. Okay. So here we are, this human spirit animated in the body consciously restricting its awareness. Okay. So the soul or higher self is vastly more awakened than the human part, much, much more. Okay, that if you could just be fully aware of that, that would be a vast, incredible awakening. Okay. But this is probably not its first rodeo. It's probably had a few incarnations before this. Every time you finish an incarnation with unhealed wounds and traumas, a dark layer forms around that. The soul is this beautiful, ecstatic ball of light, bliss, ecstasy, euphoria. But every unhealed wounded trauma puts a dark layer around it. These build up and they form the onion. So here's the great onion of consciousness. It's up in the spirit realm. Your human self is down here. But this light is so bright, it is still able to some degree to shine through those layers and animate you still. Okay. So how do you awaken? You do your shadow work. A lot of people do the spiritual bypassing. Oh, I just want to feel bliss and I don't want to worry about the other stuff. But actually, again, I've worked with over 10,000 people. I've done a lot of shamanic healing. I've done a lot of ayahuasca ceremonies. If you want to fast track your awakening, do your shadow work, face the wounds and traumas, and find an effective, simple, quick technology that clears them once and for all. And every time you do a healing like that, a layer peels off. And even the peeling of one layer creates a profound altered state. You think you took some amazing drug. Whoa, I'm so high. What happened? Well, you peeled a layer. Good job. So, the healing invocation is the other core invocation in this system. So the healing invocation peels the layers so you can progressively wake up more and more. And awakening is not just a one and done thing. In my experience, it's incremental. I remember when I had my first massive awakening back in 2012 that stuck and didn't go away. And it was a euphoria and bliss I didn't even know was possible. I was honestly wondering, did I just come fully awake right there all at once? Am I done? And I had no perspective. I now know I was just at the starting line, but I didn't know any better. Okay. And it just gets better and better and better. Some people say it doesn't get any better than this. No, it always gets better. If you're doing a good healing path and a good awakening path, you will, it just gets better and better. Adyashanti, the great oneness teacher, he nailed it. He said, if you have an awakening and it's what you thought it was going to be, it's not a real awakening. You cannot anticipate it. You can't even begin to conceive it. Once you get there, you realize it, but you can't even put words on it. These are beyond the mental realm. There's no language, but you are it. You are in the state of it. You are immersed with it, and it's awesome. It's amazing, right? But you can't communicate it in language. I try my best in the book, but all the awakening teachers just say, "Hey." Oh, Adyashanti nails it again. He said, I'm about to talk about awakening, which cannot be talking about, so I know I'm going to fail, but I'm going to fail as well as I can.
Amen. Amen to that.
Did I somehow answer your question on that meandering little?
I did. Yeah. I believe that what it comes back to for me, and tying it to the Idas and the book, and all the invocations that you give to all of us in this book, for me, what I heard was, by doing these invocations, I can do and embrace my shadow work, and I can help to peel off a layer or layers of the wounds and the traumas that are unhealed. Would that be accurate?
That's completely accurate. And what I've had so many clients report to me is they've had like a trauma they've carried like for decades. They just assumed it was permanent. And I've literally had clients do one healing invocation round and nail that sucker 100%. It's gone. And you're kidding me. I've carried this trauma for decades. One little session with this healing invocation took it out all at once. It can be that easy? Nah. But it can. I've seen it happen over and over again. I can't guarantee that. I can never guarantee an outcome. But I know it's possible because I've seen it too many times to doubt that anymore. Yeah.
I love what you said, because it reminds me that it doesn't have to be hard for it to work.
No. That's such a misnomer. See, there are some paths out there that make it hard to maintain control. There are so many like major religions who don't talk about awakening because they want to maintain control and they want your money and they want to be able to control your actions. There are other paths that are well-intentioned, but they just don't know there's a better way. And then there are paths that get it and they have fast track methods. So they're all important. And my feeling about the spiritual journey is a person who's not very awakened needs a structured path that's a little more authoritarian, if you will, and kind of tells you what to do, because that's the guidance you need at that level of consciousness. The more you awaken, the less guidance you need. And when you get a certain level of awake, you don't need anything. You're totally self-directed. So then you don't need, like Adyashanti, I love him as an example. He did hardcore Zen Buddhism 18 years, and then he woke up and he totally walked away from Zen. He didn't need it anymore. So it's like they say in Hinduism, once you've crossed the river, you don't need the raft. You got there.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Visually, I can see that as you say it.
Yeah, and I want everyone who's interested to attain such an awakening that they don't need a path anymore. I want them to get it from within themselves. I actually made the mistake of trying to stay with another person's path too long, and I got kicked out. Something happened that was really unexpected, and it was Spirit's way of saying, why are you still following someone else's path? You have yours to share now. You're here to source your thing now. Yours is one of the many dishes on the smorgasbord that people need to be able to choose from. It's not the only one. For some people, it's not the best one. For those who it does resonate with, it's helpful. So stay with it as long as it is, if people are drawn to what I do. There may be better tools out there. I just don't know. I keep asking, I even put it in the end of the book. If you know of a technique that does this healing awakening better, please let me know. I want to know about it. Because if there's something better to these invocations, I want it, and I want to drop that and move on to the next best thing.
And you mean it. Yeah.
I do mean that. I'm not attached to anything except the most expeditious paths to healing and awakening that make it as easy as possible for the greatest number of people. I don't care what the path is. The particulars don't matter. What matters is there's a huge global shift right now, and the forces of dark and light are duking it out. And I'm on the light side. And so my job is, how easy can I make it for as many people as possible to heal and awaken if they want to? I don't force it on anyone, but if they're drawn to me and what I do, then I want to make that path as quick and easy as possible. without compromising anything important.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to talk to you a little bit about what you wrote about Stephen Hawking's soul choice in your
Mm,
book. I saw that and I thought, oh, we have to talk a little bit about it. Because I have been asked over the years, and perhaps you've had the same experience, where people come to you and say, why do hard things, difficult things happen to good people? Why are some people faced with so many challenges, or
mhm.
they have so many mountains they have to climb? But you mentioned Stephen Hawking's soul choice in your book. And I think it might help to paint a picture a little bit more about the topic of incarnation and things that we may be choosing in this lifetime. So, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. And this is just I have no idea if it's actually true, but it makes sense to me. Again, I don't claim to be the ultimate arbiter of truth in any way. But what I talk about, this is in a chapter on the healing invocation. And I talk about, how I told you a minute ago, how you can clear whole things that have haunted you for a long time very quickly and easily. But sometimes, as described in Journey of Souls, one of my core spiritual books, he says sometimes his soul says, I'm going to choose for this lifetime a particular challenge I cannot overcome. I'm deliberately giving myself a certain limitation for this lifetime because that will be useful for my soul growth. And my theory is that Stephen Hawking, at the soul level before incarnating, chose to become a paraplegic because he was here to bring breakthrough physics to the world. He was here to write A Brief History of Time, that amazing book that awoke so many people in so many ways. And he knew he would be likely to get distracted if he had a full capable body. He might enjoy other things so much he wouldn't stay on mission. So he said, this mission is so important, I'm going to literally make myself a paraplegic so that all I can do is the work of the mind. I won't have physical distractions like most people. So he says, I'm gonna really, in a very extreme way, focus myself and make sure I stay on mission. That's my belief about it. I don't know, but that's what I believe happened. Yeah.
Whew. I have had experiences when I do mediumship or talking with clients where I've had similar things come through. I've never had Stephen Hawking show up in a session where I could ask him, but yeah, it is one of those conversations I feel like we could talk about for days and months
Oh
and
yeah.
years. And but I wanted your take on it, so thank you for sharing that. Uh, so going back to the IDAs, the instant divine assistance, the invocations, who really should work with them? I mean, we've talked about how unhealed wounds and traumas, things we've carried on from past lifetimes, things we've experienced in this lifetime. So that tells me that every single person can work with the IDAs and work
Mm-hmm.
with the tools and embrace their higher consciousness. But you obviously wrote the book. You've been in this energy and this using this tool for a while. Are there certain people that maybe are more aligned or should be working with the IDAs versus another group of people? So talk to me a little bit about who really is the ideal audience for this.
Really, anyone who's interested in trying them. There's no exclusions I'm aware of. They are truly a universal tool that if anyone, well, of course, they would of course have to have an interest in healing or awakening in the first place, right? And they would have to be motivated enough to be on that path at least a tiny bit. Okay. But even just an inkling of interest in healing or awakening, they could try that and give it a shot. I'm not aware of anyone it would not work for if they were interested in trying it.
Okay, beautiful. I love that. Can you give us a quick example of somebody who has worked with the IDAs, worked with you, your tools, and what they've experienced? Is there an example you can share?
I'll give one. And again, I have people who've worked with them for like years and years and years. And the book is full of stories about how they've worked for people. But the one that comes to mind is one of the stories in the book. I have a client who is manic depressive. And she and I were in session, and she would literally wander from our point every 5 seconds. I mean, she could not stay on track. Every time she wandered, I told her, and she couldn't for the life of her stay on track. And so I said, well, let's invoke embodied awakening. And she had done this before, so we did it, and it was like a switch turn. And we went for over an hour more, and she stayed completely focused, completely present, and was able to work very productively with me. When before she invoked the awakening, she literally couldn't stay focused for more than 5 seconds. Yeah, her calling her house heaven made an incredible difference. And if they can do that with someone who's, I'm sorry, she was bipolar, not manic depressive. But if she could switch on a dime like that, and I've seen so many people, you know, gosh, just dump, years and years of trauma in like one 15-minute round. And I have so many stories. I can't even bring a specific one beyond that to mind. I can say for myself, when I'm not feeling my best, I can sit down and invoke either healing or awakening, and within seconds, just immediately shift.
Mm, I can
The
feel that.
ego just isn't as good doing it for itself. But realizing my human only has certain skills and abilities, and it has to humble itself to realize there's a greater force than it, the higher self that created it, that can help it out. And you have to go in that I thou relationship until you blend with it to a degree where there is no, it's just me, where I am higher self consciously and fully. Yeah. But until then, you have to go into treat it as something other than you on a practical way.
So what do you say to people? I hear this all the time when I say, "Oh, you should meditate. Like, here are some examples." And, or I'll walk, an individual or a group through a meditation, right? And some people will say, "Oh, I can't sit still long enough. I can't focus on that." So what do you say to people who are like, "I can't sit still long enough to try this"?
I say, can you sit still for 10 seconds? Because again, here's the distinction. Invocation is not meditation. Meditation by its definition is going to take a while. An invocation is quick, efficient, it gets down to business, it gets the consciousness shift done, and you move on. So these are designed to be quick, efficient, instant tools. That's why the word instant is in the title. It can shift consciousness on a dime. And if your goal of meditating is to hit embodied awakening, why not use an invocation and get there in seconds instead of do a meditation that might take minutes or hours? It's just, now meditation does things that invocations don't. They have their own unique skill, benefits that they offer, and invocation is different. But if you want quick healing, if you want quick awakening, and in the book, if you want to quickly become a conduit for highest good energy for others or the world, invocation is really good for that too. So invocation has specific things it does really well, which are different than what meditation does in some cases. But I have yet to find that in terms of a DIY tool that you can do on your own, I have yet to find anything that more quickly brings awakening or healing or the ability to be an energy conduit than these invocations do.
I'm glad you clarified the difference and what meditation can do as well as the invocations. That's great. And I'm sure people heard you say it's quick and fast and effective, and they're like, sign me up for that. Yeah, I mean, I hear, oh, meditation, I can't do it. It takes too long. So listen, Benjamin just gave you a tool. There's no reason you should not be taking advantage of this. Now, you also, because they can go on to Amazon, you've got it on a Kindle version. You also have the paperback that you held up at the beginning, if you want to show that again.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone that purchases the book, you also have the audio accompaniment that goes with that. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, let me clarify. There will be a Audible version by the end of 2022.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to narrate the audiobook too, and it'll be up, within a month or two. But there's bonus material. And basically referenced in the book itself is, oh, by the way, go to this site, instantdivineassistance.com. There are free recordings of me guiding you through the embodied awakening invocation, guiding you through the healing invocation, and guiding you through the little bit more involved 4-part, like the full-on embodied awakening cycle, where you not only do what I've described, but you actually become one with your higher self at its level, which is amazing. You actually
say the website again. Say it one more time.
Okay, instantdivineassistance.com.
Okay, that's where everyone needs to go.
Yeah, and that has that's info for the book, but on that page there's a link to go get the free materials. And I guess you could go even if you haven't read the book, but they're a little more useful if you have read it. But the guided stuff will work either way. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so everyone, I'll include the link in the description of the video as well, so everyone can go grab that. Are you sending people to that website to purchase the book, or do you want them to go to Amazon? Do you have a preference?
I mean, I'll have the Amazon link there, but just go to Amazon and search Instant Divine Assistance. It's the only book by that title. It should come right up.
And I'll include the link as well, so everyone can can find it, and it's easy for everybody. So just check the description in this video. So before we close out, I know you mentioned instantdivineassistance.com. That's where you've got the audio of the IDAs and you've got information on the book. Is there anywhere else you'd like people to connect with you, or any closing thoughts you'd like to say to the audience today?
Beyond all that, I do other stuff too. My services site is called astroshaman.com. And if they want to work with me one-on-one as an astrologer or a shamanic healer or a life coach, that's where they would find all that out. If they want to check out my podcasts, you mentioned my astrology podcast, This Week in Astrology, and I just started up a new podcast called awakenhealandthrive.com. Again, Awaken, Heal, and Thrive. I'm sorry, just Awaken, Heal, and Thrive. Forgive me. That's the site. But Awaken, Heal, and Thrive, that's up on all the podcast services now. And the This Week in Astrology is very astrology focused. This one is going to anything that relates to healing or awakening or thriving. It's going to be a more wide-ranging thing, and we'll cover all sorts of cool ground. But it's sort of a partner with the book in a way. In fact, some of the episodes of the podcast will be techniques from the book, but there's a lot more beyond that. I'm going to have awesome guests such as you as well.
Yay! So. I'm looking forward to it. I threw my name in the hat this morning, so I'm looking forward to being on your new podcast.
Yeah. But,
beautiful. Yeah.
So again, but everything, astroshaman.com will have links to all this stuff. It's kind of the central site, and you can get to everything else from there if you can't remember anything else. Astroshaman.com is a good place to start. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, again, congratulations on all the success you've had already, being ranked bestseller on Amazon in 11 categories for this book. And I appreciate, again, just how straightforward it is and how applicable it is for what we find ourselves faced with today and where we're headed in the future. And I really appreciate the simplicity and how quickly this works. So Benjamin Bernstein, thank you so much. Again, everybody go to instantdivineassistance.com, or you can go to astroshaman.com. Either way, you will find all the information you need, and I'll include the links down below so you can find it with ease. All right, thanks, Benjamin. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.